Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik, the Thunder podcast. We're on to episode 114 as we preview match day 3. No, it's no match day 3, it's the League Cup. God, you get carried away, didn't you? It's too early for the League Cup. League Cup this weekend, so it's the third match day of the domestic season, but not match day 3 in the league. We're back in the couch. People seem to like it. Did you like it? I liked it.
I think it's a lot more.
It's comfy.
Comfortable, natural.
I know. I have freedom, you know. I can fold my leg. I've got Crocs on. I shouldn't be showing them off. Anyway, enough time being wasted. I will introduce my guest because we've got a stacked episode today, a lot to talk about, and I would like to get into it. So I'll start with the man on the very right-hand side of me, Kieran Auld. Kieran, you're back again. How you feeling? How you doing? Fill me in. I
mean, it's been a pretty standard weekend, just walking away. Getting up early this morning, knowing I'm going to aim for half an hour and then back out again. Wouldn't spend a Thursday any other way.
It's the best Thursdays. There is a game at Celtic Park this weekend, which is lovely. It'll be the first time I'm there. Are you looking forward to having me back?
I keep forgetting that you've not been to a game this season.
I know. I mean, granted, it has been
Celtic YouTube channel.
It's one game. I'll be back. I can't wait. And kebab pies are calling our names. So, Calum's in the middle. Calum, how you doing?
Okay, glad to be back, and as I said, glad to be talking about Celtic.
How's the new job treating you?
Okay, it's been good. Just getting everything set up and that, and then just looking forward to the madness of next week.
The madness. The fort's going to be chaos. So, as I say, I've got a stacked episode, and we'll address this very quickly because I feel like it would be rude not to. People keep asking, Ryan, give me a here we go on the McGinlay replacement, and I've not been able to give you a here we go yet. So this is getting released on Friday the 16th of August, and on Friday the 16th of August there should be a post on our Twitter. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Sellik the Thunder as we look for our 4th member to replace Ryan McGinlay, then go to the Twitter. It'll be out at some point today if it's not out already. And there will be a page where you can read through what we're basically looking for, and if you think you fit the bill. We won't be paying you, just make it abundantly clear.
I mean, this is episode 114. I'm yet to see a single penny.
Hey, I've got you a case of beer on one occasion.
So nursing my way through them.
But if you are interested, it's experience and all the rest of it. It's a couple of hours a week. It's a chance to put your foot in the door if you want to be in YouTube. I don't know. If you are interested in doing it, then feel free. We would love to have somebody on that shares the same passion for the club as us and shares the same passion for just talking as Kieran, because Kieran actually doesn't like football, famously.
I've made that abundantly clear in this podcast. I like Celtic.
You don't like football. But we've got to talk about the football. We've got a few things to talk about. We could start at Easter Road. We could start with transfer news. We've obviously got Hibs again at the weekend. I feel like we should probably leave that as the one collective package for the second half of the show, since Hibs is a double whammy this week. So we'll start with transfer news, and we may as well start with the big one. Adam Ida is through the door. Celtic have officially signed him. Last week we sat on this couch talking about, is 7 million too much money? Is 7 too steep? He signed for 8.5 million, and it could rise to 9.5 million. So a little bit over the original estimations for the Irishman. Listen, Calum, I'll start with you because we put the clip of you on TikTok talking about how 7 million wasn't too much. And I don't even necessarily want to ask the question, is 8.5 million too much? But does the figure surprise you?
Yes and no. I think as obviously the talking point was saying 9 million for Edward and such, also a lot of fucking Twitter. See, at this point, I'm just glad it's done, mate. It's not that back and forth. some folk for the bedwetters, 9.5 million, why are we spending that? And somebody's 23 years age will still get plenty of years at him.
Yep.
So as if it's an aging striker, and for all we know, he comes in, does a brilliant job, stays even here for 2-3 years, makes a name for himself, makes his money, all the better.
It's a 5-year contract. He's given us the evidence of why we should spend that money on him. You used the phrase bedwetters, and it's a strong phrase to use, but at the end of the day, Calum, it's not our money. I've kept saying the same phrase. I feel like a broken record, but when I woke up this morning, I checked my Santander, and £8.5 million hadn't come out of my Santander, so I'm fine. So really, it's just about backing him now, isn't it? It's not about getting tied down in the money. It's been paid. He's here, and we should just be happy about that.
It's just a case of just get the head down, get on with it now. We know he'll do that, and I think we just need, as you said, get behind them as best as possible.
Kieran, you're usually strong with your opinions, and I would say when it comes to mass hysteria, I feel like mass hysteria is something we talk about on this podcast quite a lot whenever an opinion gets bandwagoned or there seems to be a notion that gets a bit carried away with. What has been your reaction to this whole Ida thing? I feel like most people are actually being like us, and most people have been like, and what? He's here, we should be happy. But there is a portion of the supporters who are genuinely pissed off.
I know. I feel like it's a small contingent, as you said, that are maybe a wee bit more annoyed about the fee that's been reported. But at the end of the day, I mean, we all laboured this point last week. Why do you care if we spend that much money? And it is the pure duality of the Celtic support crying out for money to be spent, but no that much on Adam Ida. And I'm at the point now, I'm just glad it got over the line, because there was a few points in the summer where it looked like it was coming, then there was maybe some talk that it wasn't going to happen, we were maybe penny pinching, and now we've done the opposite of penny pinching.
It doesn't winning, is there?
Imagine we sat here last week but putting the clips on the TikToks talking about, you can't spend that much money, and this week, that was too much. we might have overplayed our hand there a wee bit.
I can't believe we've done it. I was only joking, Sellik. But no, you can't win, can you? With a support that is arguably, I mean, there's a fickle bunch over the other side of the city. We don't even want to get started on them this week, right? But we are probably the most fickle set of supporters in the world. A group of supporters that cry for their board to spend money, and then they do spend money, and it's like, we never meant that much. There isn't any winning.
I know, it's just at the point now, but we've got the money sitting in the bank. We've got the most money we've ever had. So I'm at a position where it sort of harps back to the stuff about Matt O'Reilly, which we'll get onto, about teams undervaluing our players. I mean, Norwich were well within the rights to hold out for what they saw fit for Adam Ida. So if we wanted him, we had to pay the money, and thank God we did, because we were looking very light in the striker department. Yeah,
Calum, I mean, Kyogo went down at the weekend holding his shoulder once more. It seems to be a shoulder injury that's just never going to heal itself. And you've got to be prepared. It's not going to be the first or last time that happens this season. And maybe Norwich seen a chance to take advantage of Celtic, knowing that we were desperate to bring in somebody to fill Kyogo's boots. But they were well within their rights. They valued their player at that much, and Celtic wanted them. So you really have to just take it in the chin.
100%. It is quite literally a case, as you said, they've probably picked up on solely the fact they've obviously the Kyogo recurring injury, and then the fact we're literally down to one striker as it was, regardless injury or not. So, as you said, they're well within their rights, just as we're doing also with a certain Matt O'Reilly just now. Also, I know we'll come on to him and such, but I think, just glad it is done now, but again, there was always going to be somebody that moaned. That was $500,000 too much, it was this and that. Just go for it.
Somebody, I think, do you know what, I've not spoken about him in a long time. Shout out to the former TSF man, David Buick. He raised a cracking point to me. We were on Football Manager the other night on Discord, and he raised the point that these same people, and I don't know why I didn't think of this myself, but these same people moaning are probably the ones who would have been moaning. See if it came out, so when did we sign him? Last night? If it came out last night that Celtic refused to sign him because it was $1.5 million dearer, these would have been the same people going, we're not spending an extra $500,000. That would have been the conversation, wouldn't it? It's just no winning.
It's a John McGinn situation there again.
Aye,
Quite literally, why do we not spend that extra? But then,
Anybody have?
I'd be paying that for a fucking Hibs midfield.
I personally like the disco lights.
You know, if I was to go back, I'd pick them again.
Double back down.
Double down. But and I was going to ask a question to the two of you, so I'll just kind of open the floor. Do you think Celtic shot themselves in the foot and landed them? Do you think the board have got themselves to blame for having to pay this much? Like, they're the ones that dragged it out. They're the ones that went in and lowballed from the start. They're the ones that ultimately waited until we had to come to now to settle the deal. Our first bid was at 4.5 million, and that was quite cheeky. I would say that was quite cheeky, and I think that the board maybe should have done their business better in January as well. If they'd never left it to the last minute to bring out, I mean, remember Adam Ida came in quite late. If they never left it to the last minute, we would have had time to negotiate and an option to buy, an obligation to buy, whatever. So, you know, Celtic aren't innocent in being robbed of £8.5 million here.
That £4.5 million first bid, that therefore it's on career mode with retention bar. That shot it right up to the top.
I love thinking about life as career mode.
That's how I think about every facet of life.
In the toilet.
Let's not delve into that sort of chat again. We got ourselves dragged into that level last week when we had the questions. So.
That's true. But he is through the door. That's the most important thing. However, the biggest takeaway from all of that is that we are now on, that's the second time I've had to do this, the 15th of August. I'm no good for remembering the date if you haven't put that together by now. It's the 15th of August, and Celtic are now exactly where they left off on the 25th of May. So that's June, July, that's 3 months nearly, and Celtic haven't improved the squad. Somebody raised in my live stream last night the point of, yes, we have, Kasper Schmeichel's a better keeper than Joe Hart, but I'd hardly say that's improving the squad. You know, Celtic have got the exact same squad now. Mm-hmm. Not one improvement.
Even just about like that bit, but even in terms of depth, I get that guy's point of saying, oh, Schmeichel's been good in that, but that's obviously just sort of bypassing what the point people are making is the fact that we're now still just as light in other areas. Unless we've got some big ones lined up. I know we'll come on to talk about the names being thrown about and such, but it's still going to be an uphill task to make sure this is a properly successful window. I mean, we've done what should have been the bare minimum. This should have been out the way so long ago. We've dragged our feet and we've let ourselves get to this point, and it's frustrating. And you kind of like comparing it to the way we were feeling last week. Obviously, you're Larry. At least it's in now. You're a bit happier. But then when you think about it as a bigger picture, you think, right, we're still pretty much in the same position, and it's just it's really frustrating. But
no, it is, because I mean, I put together a shopping list at the start of the window on my channel, and if I remember it off the top of my head, it was 2 goalkeepers, a left-footed centre back, a left back, a Matt O'Reilly replacement, a right winger, Adam Ida, Paulo Bernardo, and out of that list, we've got the keepers are Bernardo and Ida, and that's it. And we've not touched centre half, we've not touched left back. And Calum, I don't want us to feel like we're constantly, I feel like I'm putting these clips, people that don't know our podcast and just see us as these 3 random Celtic fans on TikTok must think all we do is fucking moan. They must think we just moan and that's it.
Moan and play games for TikTok.
That seems to be the podcast, right? And it does, I don't want to just moan all the time, but when you consider the fact that the Celtic board have had months to back the manager and that there has been targets linked with this throughout the whole window, and it seems like we've not acted upon it and that they've dragged their heels, it just makes it all feel tedious, and it makes you wonder if they're ever actually going to do it.
As you said, it's the amount of rumours and links there has been since the start of the window, and as we've all touched on, we've literally come right back right to where we were on the 25th of May. We've not advanced any whatsoever. It is annoying, even if it was just sort of like beefing out the squad a bit. Even if it was another player, not so much saying obviously another Bernabeu, but somebody that's going to come in and play obviously behind Greg Taylor, but they still have good quality. Somebody that takes Liam Scales out of the team, nothing against them directly, but you want a comfortable left-footed centre back, not somebody that's just making erratic decisions. It is just infuriating at this point, the fact we've not progressed any.
It's crazy, because I would not, as much as I hate the board sometimes and as much as we lambast them, I didn't think there would be this much negligence towards the transfer window. And maybe that's just naive on my part. I will hold my hands up, but I genuinely think so. I know, and we should be. But what makes it even crazier is the fact that did he not for a second ever sit back and think of 2019 and think of the reason Rodgers left the club? Does that not linger in their minds? Because Rodgers was pretty honest and pretty brutal in his assessment of the club when he left. He said, the board didn't want to back me. I'm out of here. I'm going somewhere else. And it's happening again. And I don't know if Rodgers has just been the nice guy that he is for the cameras. But if I was him, I certainly wouldn't be as happy as he's coming across. I'd be fucking fuming.
I know. Because I feel like that was a sort of thing about last year as well, where he was kind of making comments about stuff like that after transfer windows, and you think he's really not happy here, and hopefully the board will kick it up a notch in the next transfer window to try and right the wrongs. They knew what happened last time, as you said, and they don't want it to happen again. But I don't know, I'm not really getting that impression for Rodgers right now. That
he's got a good poker face.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we're a lot more angry than he's
He's sitting with the feet up.
I mean, you never know. We might have an absolute blinder in the last 2 weeks of this window, but why do we purposely make it harder for ourselves?
What would it take? Here's a question to both of you, and I'll let you both go. I'll start with you, Calum. What would it take now between here as we sit on the 15th of August and the end of the window for you to actually sit with your feet up and go, I was happy with that? Is it as simple as just a left back and a centre half? Would that be enough?
No, I think for me, 3 or 4 players.
Do you want 3 or 4?
For me, personally, yeah. Again, it might just seem different at a period in time when you want this, that and the rest of it, blah, blah, but definitely left back, left centre back, and that O'Reilly replacement, and even another centre mid as well.
Suppose obviously the big thing is if O'Reilly leaves, we do need somebody there. So I can that would probably be a big part of it. What about you, Kieran? What would make you relax come the 31st of August?
I do think it's pretty similar to Calum, because the left back role desperately needs somebody, even if it's not somebody to come directly replace Taylor, which would, for me, ideally be the thing I would want. But I'm realistic with 2 weeks left of the window, that's probably not going to happen. But what happens if Greg Taylor gets injured?
We're good. Scales is off to left back. That's what will happen.
You do need a centre half, especially if we're getting rid of Lagerbielka and Navrovsky on loan. Well, I hope we are, because otherwise they're just going to be sitting there taking up space in the Lennoxtown changing rooms. But it's just, you need the centre half, left back. As we spoke about, and we'll probably go on to talk about Matt O'Reilly. Definitely needs to be a replacement for him. Then looking at the rest of the midfield, do we need another player in there? I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about him as well, but to lighten the load, because even though it's only 2 extra games, 8 extra games into your calendar in the Champions League is quite a tall order, especially for a squad that last year did suffer pretty heavily with injuries, and we were left looking really light at points, and players that should not have been anywhere near the starting 11 were getting massive game time. So I don't think we can allow that to happen again.
No.
Because we said this on the podcast the last couple of episodes, that we're a couple of injuries away for this team looking very, very different.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the bench at the weekend and it's still nowhere near the level required. And I'm hearing all this stuff. The same conversation's coming up again, isn't it? Where, Celtic are ruining the league because it's talking about financial gulfs and blah, blah, blah and all the rest of it. Listen, Celtic demand better. It's as simple as that. We have the money there, so it should be spent. We've got a couple of other transfer stories to talk about. Before that, I've been scrolling Twitter just to see if there's been any updates, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's the first time that I've came across the full photo for the
I know, I really like it.
So I was just wanting to see if any wanted to give your opinions across. I think it looks a lot nicer than I thought it was going to.
I mean, I like the leak that we've seen, but I'm a fan of it. I'll probably buy it.
No, it's nice. You like it, Calum?
I'd definitely be buying that with a certain company's discount. Yes, please.
We'll do a giveaway for a discount. We've spoken a lot about Matt O'Reilly. We'd better touch on him. There seems to be a lot of cross-reporting on Matt O'Reilly right now. Reports coming from different places, from different journalists giving us different updates. There's not a lot of certainty around Matt O'Reilly, to say the least. This morning it was reported in Italy that Atalanta are very close to striking a deal. They're only a few million off of Celtic's final valuation, which reportedly is €29 million. That would equate to £24,750,000. Then Sky Sports came out and said today via Anthony Joseph that Celtic had rejected their 5th offer of £21 million. And from there's not been much of an update. So it's very cross-reporting at the minute. But what I would say, my opinion of it all is, I think we're getting closer, Kieran. to the inevitable.
I mean, it's definitely on the horizon, but you've, as you said, there's been a lot of mixed signals really with the reporting, because there was talk that this was Atlanta's final bid, but as you said, they were talking about being close to a deal and they're only a few million off. Is it Coop Miners that's gone to
Yes, he's got Juventus.
So
55 million euros.
So I think that's what, 47 million quid I've seen reported on Twitter. So the main takeaway for this, I mean, I understand he's going to leave, and hopefully we'll go into the replacements that's been linked and such, but it still is irking me that why is 25 million quid why is that just became the new, that's enough to prize
that's
a
like the
player away
cap
for Celtic.
Aye.
Like, why are we limiting ourselves? Kieran Tierney went for 25 million quid
In 2019.
2019, 5 years ago.
Yep.
Why are we no moving with the times and demanding bigger fees for our players?
It's surely got to be a case of the board are just terrified of scaring these teams away by asking for more. But they should. But good. Then we should make the message clear. But you're not getting them. Then we don't need to sell Matt O'Reilly.
Like, we should be steadfast in these negotiations.
Yeah.
Like, sort of just saying, right, this is like we've been hanging with Adam Ida for this is what we want, and that was quite a lot of money we paid for him. No complaining about that, but we should be doing the same in valuing our players, hire them as well. Because why is £25 million all it takes to prize our best player away with us?
I know.
Like we had it happen with Jota. That kind of came out the blue, unexpected. Nobody knew that was going to happen. This has been built up all summer that he's going to be leaving. We knew going into this transfer window we were probably going to lose him. Now we're sat here at the end, and it's annoying me because I bet the board are probably entertaining these sort of low ball bids as well, and that's my biggest fear, that like we said last season Matt O'Reilly should be going for a Scottish transfer record, like for the Scottish League he should be the record transfer fee, and now it's looking like he's not going to be, and I think that's pretty scandalous for Celtic's part.
Yeah, I mean, Calum, the talk is what, 29 million euros. As I said, that's 24,750,000 pounds. Would be short of the record. You can only take these reports with a pinch of salt. Of course, that might not be the final figure, but it does feel like, Celtic are doing, and I'll reiterate a point I made a moment ago. There's no need to sell O'Reilly. Celtic are in a strong financial position. The whole factor of going to Atalanta is for Europe and playing a higher league. He's still going to be playing Europe at Celtic. It doesn't seem like he's in a rush to get out the door. Celtic could speak to O'Reilly, and I think they could hedge their bets and keep them for another year, quite honestly, and then see where the value lies next year. Because if he has another good season, that only goes up, that money. He's still got 3 years left in his deal by that time. So we don't need to sell. Would you be disappointed if the record isn't broken?
100%. If we are, then accepting, again, it's not as if it's a low ball offer, but he should be breaking that record fee 100%, especially from the season he's just off the back of. Also, again, you look at European performances, 3 assists in Europe as well. Wee things like that tie in. It's a massive season. If we had to accept that 24.75, it's disappointing. Because as you said, it's as if it's a case of the board, they're like scared in case we do put a price, and when they're right to walk away, and they're like, we've lost it in that because of trying to push it, but you should be pushing it.
There's definitely an element of, like, I think the board are like, what happens if he doesn't perform? And we look, this is your one chance to make 25 million. But Sellik don't need 25 million. I know it's a great amount of money for the club, and it could be a huge difference to the bank balance and what we can do moving forward. All the buzzwords, right? But take it or leave it. We don't need it. At the end of the day, we're not in the position Rangers are in where this is a must need amount of money. So it's just all very, very annoying. And I think he will go to Atlanta, to be quite honest. I think it will happen.
It might sound like we're nitpicking here about like a few extra million, that because we sat here and spoke about the fact that, I mean, obviously we went out and spent the 8.5 on either, but like,
I know it all.
What's it to us sort of thing, it's going to sit in the bank anyway, but I feel like it's maybe a principle thing than more than anything. Why are we letting our top talents walk away for what every fan sees as vastly underselling the product we're building up here? And it's just,
I think it just
so
makes
annoying.
it even more irritating when you look around Europe and you see players who are, and I'll say it with my chest, there's players around Europe, Conor Gallagher, for example. I will say it with my chest and I mean it. Matt O'Reilly is a better footballer than Conor Gallagher. I say it with my chest. I don't care what anybody says. People, when you play for Chelsea, are fucking shite. So you can't even say he's playing in a good Chelsea team or whatever. He's pish. And there's talk of him going to Atletico Madrid for, and it's not even a fact, like, it's up for debate if he's a better player or not, right? It's up for debate. But he's not a 20, 30 million pound better player. There's no way that he's, we're talking about Conor Gallagher going to Atletico Madrid for what, 40 odd million, is it? 35, 40 million? 40 million. How the fuck's he gone for 40 and O'Reilly's only gone for 25? Because there's no 15 million pound of difference in the players. That's the point I'm trying to make. Whether you think he's a better player than Conor Gallagher or not, up for debate. And there's a reason that, Chelsea were apparently linked with Matt O'Reilly when Gallagher was leaving the door, because they know there's a player in there. And so does all these top teams across Europe. So it just irritates me in so many different levels. But I think it's coming to, I think the time we're sitting doing this podcast next week, he could be gone, by the way. I do think.
I've prepared myself for it.
Mentally. But Celtic, they need to be prepared for it, which is a nice segue. Celtic have been linked with German Wunderkind, Arne Eng. What's wrong?
Don't sign him.
You're lucky he's not got a wide names like Bastian Schweinsteiger. It's just Arne Engels.
Fucking brilliant name.
It's arguably the best name ever. But Celtic have been linked with German wonderkid Arne Engels from Augsburg in the Bundesliga. 20 years of age, Belgian player. Broke into the Augsburg first team roughly a year and a half ago, and been a very, very good player. Currently valued around €9 million. It's been said that Celtic will be asked for as much as €12 million to land his signature. Calum, on your first impressions of him, is that the kind of talent that should be replacing Matt O'Reilly?
I'd say so, yes. I mean, I can only base it off what I've seen on social medias and such. Can't say I'm a big avid Bundesliga fan, but and off of what I have seen, I'm quite impressed. I'd be fairly happy if he used to be the replacement.
It would be a mark of intent from Celtic, to put it this way, like, you get 25 million, let's just use the number 25 at the moment. You get 25 million for Matt O'Reilly, and he's probably the best midfielder we've had in, I don't know, I mean, he could be the best midfielder we've had the past decade, arguably. He's up there anyway in terms of just sheer talent. So with that 25 million to replace a player of that calibre, you're going to need to spend a lot.
100%. It's not as if it is a case of, also, I know we're still in this model of like the can buy cheap, sell big, but there has to be a point where you do. And obviously, I know we have just obviously spent a good bit of money there on Ida, but you do have to be seen to be spending the money for a replacement like that, because it's not as if it is just like a standard midfielder that's there to beef out the squad. He's the best midfielder at the team just now.
Yeah.
Especially basing it off last season. So you have to be going out and spending big money to replace it.
Yeah, Kieran, you're having to replace, I mean, what was it ended the last season on? Something like...
It was either 17 goals and 18 assists
So you're talking over 30 goal contributions. You've got to replace that. You can't, unless we've been linked, we'll probably talk about Luke McCowan at some point. I don't think there's too much to talk about there, but you can't replace that with a £1 million Luke McCowan signing. No. You have to replace it in the correct fashion.
See, I think on paper, this is the kind of forward planning that we've been crying out for on this podcast when we do sell big players, that you have a replacement in mind that isn't, as we were saying, like shot in the bargain section. You're going out and buying a highly rated younger person who will fit the same sort of mould. Maybe, I'm not going to go out on a limb here and say I've watched him all sorts and know, like, oh, he plays exactly like that. You know what I mean? The younger central midfielder that will be in the same position as Matt O'Reilly, hopefully in a few years, where it's a cycle, and you don't mind that cycle. It's, I think, what Calum said as well about you can't just go, and you were saying about you can't just go get the cheap replacement and hope that'll sort of plug the gap for a season. This is the forward plan. I've seen people talk about it on Twitter. You sell high, but you also need to jump in and buy these younger players at a time where you might not be getting them for the cheapest point possible. You might be in the sort of middle ground, but you know you'll be able to sell them on, and hopefully it's the sort of quality that can maybe be brought in, and it doesn't feel like too much of a transition for having somebody of Matt O'Reilly's quality to then replacing them with, say, like, I don't want to throw Luke McCowan.
He's a good player. He's a good player.
I know, he is a good player, but I think even he himself would admit there's a wee bit of a skill gap between him and Matt O'Reilly, so.
And the thing is, like, you know, we have this ambition that the Celtic board will spend big or whatever, but at some point, if you want the right players, you need to get in ahead of the curve. The problem is right now is if they don't move for, and this is just an example in young Arnie here, you know, it doesn't need to be him, but we're talking similar. Remember last year we were linked with Fabian Reeder, for example. It was the same with him. Yeah, it does sound like a lot of money. You're talking potentially £10 million, which is a huge signing. But if you don't pay that now, and he has one more good year at Augsburg, that's it. You missed your chance.
Never gonna get him.
You need to get in ahead of the curve. If it's the player that the manager wants, if it's the player that fits the system, if it's who the scouts have been looking at, you either pay it now, it just never happens. Last year he played 33 times out of 34 in the Bundesliga, I think. That's off the top of my head. 3 goals, 5 assists. At 20 years of age, at that level, is a very good return. He's also playing a lot of minutes for a side who are mid-table. You know, this isn't a top Bundesliga side. It's only a matter of time before, you know, your Dortmunds are looking at him, your Leipzigs are looking at him, maybe not necessarily Bayern Munich or whatnot, but these teams will look at him. So if Celtic are serious and they want to appease the fans, then they've got to make signings like this. It's as simple as that.
I know. I'm hoping, I mean, obviously in a perfect world, Matt O'Reilly doesn't leave and we get to keep him for another year, but this is the sort of level or the calibre, of signing that I think most fans couldn't really grumble at.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you'll still get the odd one saying, I've never heard of him, but at least with this, I've not heard the 90% of our signings when we make them.
Exactly.
But see if you can sort of back that up by saying, but he's played at this level and he's done this in this league. Like, I think that would even bring round most fans that would maybe be a wee bit hesitant about some of their signings in recent years. But I feel like that's ideally where I would like to see Celtic's, like, the transfers to go in that direction moving forward.
Yeah. We'll talk about Luke McCow in a moment. The way we'll come back to Arnie Engels next week because obviously it's very early to tell if this is proper serious. But the way I like to look at it, and I don't know if you will agree, I'll let you comment on this. Matt O'Reilly's not out the door yet. And I said this in the chat earlier, and our good friend Mark made the point of, but you can't have too many of them. I once again, I've used this phrase already, I say it with my chest though. I would still be making this signing regardless. And that's my opinion. I
see that point, right? But would this boy come here and, like, he's apparently he's interested in signing for Celtic if O'Reilly leaves, but would he be that interested if O'Reilly said and he wasn't guaranteed a...
But I think that sometimes you've got to look at football differently. I don't think it's as black and white as one plays and the other doesn't. The fact that we've got Hatate and O'Reilly are guilty of having games where they go vacant, and competition only makes players better. You can look at teams, I think some of the best teams in the world, and I know you're looking at different levels here, but other teams stockpile quality in these areas. Manchester City have an abundance of good central midfielders. Arsenal, an abundance of central midfielders. Celtic can operate in the same manner at their own level. I don't think that there should be any reason why we don't. And I think having more is sometimes, shooting yourself in the foot because you allow these problems to build. But at some point, O'Reilly's going to leave. At some point, Hatate's going to leave. Minutes are going to open up for players. People get injured all the time. I genuinely don't think it's as black and white.
But I see your point of view, I think that's the sort of, like, I would have that mindset in a perfect world, but realistically, this is a young boy that's played, as you said, all but one maybe their games last season. He's like, well, why I understand the step up and getting the chance to play Champions League and that, but see if you're no guaranteed, like if you're getting signed for £10 million for a team like Celtic that's playing the Champions League, imagine how miffed you would be if you signed O'Reilly doesn't leave and you're sat on the bench alongside Stephen Welsh and Anthony Ralston.
I know, you're putting a lot of trust in the coaches at that point to treat the player right and to get rotation right. There's a lot of trust in that. But it's not something that I would put... Look, Rodgers had a great squad at Leicester and he managed to keep the squad relatively happy. He's done it through his time here at Celtic as well.
I feel like it's easier to keep people happy when, depending on what level you're playing at.
Listen, I find it hard enough today in Football Manager, let alone anything else. I get players coming in every 2 weeks.
I would love it if that was what happened and we had this abundance of quality. But I'm just thinking on a personal level, trying to play devil's advocate of how the player would think of this situation.
The way I like to look at it is, we brought up that point earlier about 8 extra Champions League games and how hard that is in the team. But there is more minutes up for grabs and... listen, I think that Rio Hatate is a quality player, but I think that there's players that could probably play consistently better than Rio Hatate, and who knows, maybe this boy maybe it could be O'Reilly who's getting hanging to the bench. We don't know how good this boy is. He might come in and be better than both of them. So, it's just, you never know until you do it.
We sign him, O'Reilly loses all his market value.
So, that was it. We haven't, Calum, we've been linked with Luke McCowan as well. I'll come to both of you. I'll start with you, Calum. What's your opinion on all that? So, Hibs have apparently bidded 750,000 and Celtic are monitoring the situation.
For taking any midfielders, sort of young, I say young, he's obviously not as if he's that young, but I did then looking at Motherwell, going for Lennon Miller and such.
Aye.
Likes like that. Again, he's proved himself a bit last season. A cracking assist against us with a fucking half spin. Sure, it was McGregor. At the time, he'd look a right dick. Flip that, it was a fucking cracker of a spin, man. But like things like that, because again, at least you've got the youth on them in there, as opposed to look McKevin. Don't get me wrong. I thought
26.
I
Is he
thought
26?
27. I thought he was on about that. Aye,
Yeah,
Might be turning 27.
something on about that.
I
that's what I was
genuinely
assuming.
thought he was younger than
So that's what I'm then saying. Obviously, if you're going for players of that age, realistically, do you really want to bring them in? I feel like it's just another Scott Allen.
Yeah.
You just bring him in just to again
It's
fill a
kind of got
position
Scott
for a
Allen
wee bit.
vibes in it.
Do you know what I mean? Like make a couple of appearances here and there, but nothing major.
I mean, I'm quite indifferent to it. If we sign him, I'm not going to be...
Great.
Aye. But, I mean, I think he's the worst player in the world to bring
Yeah.
in. But when Calum raises that point, if we're going to be going out and signing an MD for the league, I would rather it be somebody like Lennon Miller.
Maybe like David Watson or something.
But somebody that fits the model of what we've been trying to do for the past few years.
I like him as a player, and I've got nothing against Celtic. It's not like I'm saying Celtic don't do it. My biggest point of concern is for the player himself, because I genuinely don't see what he does at Celtic apart from tick a box in European quota.
Aye.
He doesn't get in over any of our midfielders.
I don't know if it's the sort of idea of having an impact player to come on in the midfield. Maybe because Rogers spoke about he needs merit to players like Home. And maybe he's not seen
what he wants
enough
to see. Aye.
Maybe he thinks, well, there's a proven player in the league that's, to be fair to him, started this season really, really well. So he might be thinking, I need some, it might not be the long-term vision that the club are after, but I need something in the short term that can come on and maybe go against tired legs.
This is saying everything that just relates to Johnny Hayes.
I'm not kidding. I was we were saying, oh, it's a sort of Scotland. I was sitting there thinking Johnny Hayes. Like,
This is literally his second Johnny Hayes. I don't know how far my opinion matters, but I don't think it'll happen. I think it starts and ends at Celtic monitoring the situation. I think he's destined to go to Hibs, to be quite honest.
that's the sort of sign you expect. Feel like Hibs to go and then poach players for that level of club within the league, but.
You've got to think Celtic wouldn't be offering him a huge amount of money per week. And if I was Luke McCowan, surely Hibs is the more attractive move because he would be starting week in, week out.
Celtic would still pay him more than what he'd be getting paid.
I know,
and I think it's a short career.
That's true. But how much more? Like, surely not too much. If we're scared to give Paulo Bernardo fucking money, then how much they're going to give Luke McCowan?
Think about how much money Dundee
are
paying their players compared to Celtic.
True.
Celtic's youth.
Maybe. I don't see it happening though.
I mean, I'm as I said, indifferent.
Aye,
if it happens, it
indifferent's
happens.
a good word for it. Anyway, that's the first half of the show done. Fucking hell.
We're sitting at 38 minutes.
Christ.
Fucking hell.
We're not even going to do a fucking preview for Hibs. Who needs it? We've done one last week. Go watch last week. Half-time quiz, which today is hosted by Kieran Auld.
I just realised we'll get to use the music
Oh,
for this
is
one.
it? Is it time?
It's time for Who's That Tick?
Yes. I'm editing that in. There you go. Right, Kieran, take it away.
Right, so we've got two players here. Who wants to go player A and player B? How we going to decide it?
So last week, who won?
I won the quiz, but I'm hosting it, but I don't know who won. You won the halftime quiz last week because
So I did.
it
That's
was
right.
the Matt O'Reilly.
Aye.
Who am I?
So am I getting to choose then?
Yeah, I player A or player B.
I'll go. Do you know what? I'll put myself up against. I'll go player A.
Okay. So this player started, was it Dinamo Zagreb,
Right.
then went to Celtic,
Shite.
and then Leeds United.
Dinamo Zagreb, Celtic to Leeds. Oh, it's been that long since we've done one of these. I forgot if we used. Is there like clues or anything involved, or is it generally just the teams?
I think it's just the team.
It's been that long since we've played. I
'cause
can't remember. Because we didn't do one of these for a long time.
Mhm.
Like this is generally the first we've done in
well.
ages. Right, I can't remember many players coming from Dinamo Kiev straight away.
No, Dinamo Zagreb.
Sorry, Zagreb. Shit. So that automatically they're Czech, aren't they?
Jesus.
What? I'm just double checking, aren't they? They're check. To Leeds. Right, see, I think this is wrong, but I'm going to go for it. Is it by any chance Mark Viduka?
It is, and I'm so shocked at that because Zagreb, where is Zagreb?
Oh, shit, it's Croatia.
We've been in this man's pub in
I wasn't
Dubrovnik.
prepared. I went home
Oh,
early.
yeah, you were away.
I was
that's
away.
why.
See, do you know what the worst part is? That's why I said it. I was like, you just went to that pub. That's what my thing was. Oh, well, go to it. So, that's fine.
Oh, right. Well done. I don't know how you got
Do
to
you want
that.
to know? I really pride myself on my fucking geography as well, and how have I done that?
I know, that's embarrassing.
That is...
Right, so Calum, player B, went from Bolton to Celtic to Everton.
Oh. Thought mine was bad.
I do think I could hazard a guess to that.
I can't think, apart from Big Gravison, I can't think of any Sellik players who played for Everton. My head's hit a right blank. Oh. Oh.
I just can't think. Just try to think of players that have moved to Everton.
Am I allowed to give clues it in this, or if he's a both struggling for it?
This shit one.
This man is managed in Scotland in a couple of clubs.
All right, okay. Managed Scotland a couple of clubs.
If you don't get it, I can keep giving clues.
Right, all
Being
right.
clues will be here all night.
It's Calum's anyway. So.
This man is a Scottish Cup winning manager with one of those clubs.
From Bolton to Celtic to Everton
Mm-hmm.
as a player. Scottish Cup winning manager. I've got
Need another clue.
I go.
Played under Martin O'Neill.
That's before I would even
Wait.
hazard a guess to that.
Aye, played under Martin O'Neill.
No, it's not Lenny.
No.
Nah, 'cause he was Leicester.
He was Leicester. Anyway, Nottingham Forest.
Right, do you want that? Do you want me to give you the clue that's going to get it?
All right, on you go. Have you tapped it, Cal?
Aye.
He's tapped
Mental,
it.
man.
Scottish Cup winning manager with Hibs.
Stubbs.
Oh,
That's what I was thinking,
Stubbsy.
but then it was when you said Everton, I was like, was it Everton? Because obviously he's got that bit of twang, and then soon you said Scottish Cup manager.
didn't even know he played for Everton.
1990 to 96 at Bolton, 96 to 2001 at Celtic,
Yeah.
Right, so I thought he was away.
2001 to
Before.
2005 at Everton.
So that's why I wouldn't have thought Martin O'Neill, but obviously it's that
Mm,
fucking
just
cusp. Aye, right.
Well,
Okay.
we'll have one again at half time. I'm getting good at these half time quizzes.
I shouted Stubbs for he said it, one each.
You fucking wish. Thanks, Kieran, for the half time. We look forward to your full time. I've been guaranteed that this week's full time quiz won't have numbers questions after the disaster that was last week. Said he was listening to it back and was mortified at the amount of numbers questions. You remember though, everyone I was reading it was like, fucking, how many this and this, that numbers.
He did message me an apology in regards to it as well.
Was last week the Euros quiz?
Yes.
Like a month after
Yes.
it finished.
It was. Right, we play Hibs this weekend. It's the League Cup. Simple as this: avoid the disaster of last year and leaving the League Cup in the first round of asking. We played Hibs at the weekend. I think instead of previewing what's to come, Kieran, what did you think of our performance on Sunday?
I mean, the first half it looked like we picked up exactly where we left off the week before. Very happy with it. Could have scored a couple more. I thought McGregor's goal, man. Where did that come from? But you couldn't really fault it. Second half obviously maybe tailed off a wee bit, but the performance levels were still there. We could have scored again, but there was a couple of mistakes in the back line, William Scales and things like that. But I feel like it's maybe a bit harsh to properly be pinpointing in on it. But overall, you can be happy with it. To get us up to 2 wins out of 2, pretty professional performance and not really much to cry about.
Yeah. I seen a lot of people complaining, Calum, under my video on social, not a lot of people, once again, is a very small I feel like there's just a minority that are out. I know we complain a lot, right? But I feel like there's a minority of Celtic fans at the moment who just want to complain for the sake of complaining. And a lot of them were like, oh, well, it was just the same as last season. Good in the first half, push in the second half, blah, blah. We went to one of the famously most difficult places to go for Celtic in the league, especially under Rodgers, where our record has been terrible. You compare that to what happened at Easter Road. Remember Halloween weekend last year? We were at Easter Road and we were pish. We were terrible. I don't think you can cry about that. I think a 2-0 win in the fashion that we did play, and second half we could have scored as well a couple of times. I think it was nothing positive, personally.
I know, genuinely, I couldn't really, for me personally, I think there's really much faults in there for it. You said we get the early goal that settled it for us, and then McGregor's strikes is unbelievable. And then there you go, if you like that shoe, 2-0, comfortable position, and it's just cruise control the rest of the game. Yeah. As you said, we probably could have finished the game 3-4 up. Realistically, like Kuhn has a couple of chances as well, he's unlucky with. McGregor hits the post again. It's like we were unlucky with not being able to just obviously get the goal in the second half, but all round it was just fairly dominant. Fairly dominant,
yep. So this weekend it's about doing the same thing. We're at Celtic Park, which should make it easier. I'll save us the hassle of doing a full-on preview, because what's the point? We're 2 weeks in a row. We've got questions to get to. Is it a time for rotate? What happens this weekend with the team? Do you think Ida should start?
I don't think he'll start. I think we'll definitely see him.
Yeah.
But
I've got pins and needles.
I mean, just on Ida, because I meant to say earlier before we go any further, this was the question I've been thinking. I don't think MD's posed it in the Twitter question, so I wanted to raise it to you.
Okay.
How different is Ida's mindset this time? Because coming in as the £9.5 million man with add-ons compared to the sort of gloomy atmosphere he came in, maybe with the mindset of proving people wrong in January. How do you think he deals with that added pressure? He's signed for this much money, and I feel like in January the pressure was on, but people weren't expecting him to do anything good in January, but now he's came in as the big money signing of the season. I feel like the pressure's been lumped on his shoulders now. I feel like it's not really been spoke about that much.
Yeah, that's not denying it. The pressure is going to be doubled, if not, tripled, quadrupled. The pressure's there. But I think that he showed a very difficult time, that he's a guy that can play under pressure. The fact that we were chasing a league title is arguably the hardest thing to do at Celtic, because we're not used to it. A lot of the players aren't used to it. Even players like McGregor aren't used to it. It's happened once in that situation, and it was an anomaly of a season. So, it's a very hard situation to come in and deal with. And that was pressure on him to play to get the full permanent move. Now, I think he'll thrive under the pressure of being an £8.5 million player, because I think it kind of equates the same way. He's won that move, but now he needs to win the faith of being, a starting striker, and to be the starting striker when Kyogo leaves. And yeah, I think he'll be fine. I hope
I do think he will handle it pretty well. I'm just wondering, because I've not seen a lot of people even. I mean, I think that's maybe a testament to him that there's no people out there questioning that. Yeah. But I hope he does get afforded the patience if he doesn't get after an absolute flyer and people don't panic instantly, because obviously I feel like then he might have the target on his back of having signed for 8.5, rising to £9.5 million. So, but nah, I've got every faith in him.
Yeah, Calum. I mean, he's somebody that will probably thrive as the minutes get more and more from him. So it is just about the fans being patient and not getting on his back quickly.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think it's even a case of, obviously, we look at when he came in, because those 2 massive goals at Easter Road. Yep. So we know he can do it under the pressure, more so now. A lot of it's alleviated off him. He's got the fans back now. He doesn't have to go out and prove it. Obviously, he does with that price tag, but we know he can do it in the big situations. So it's just, as Kieran said, just give him the time, get him in. The goals will come. Yeah.
Is that Water's mine?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's been sitting there this whole bastard show. I've been gasping for a ball. Would you rotate any of the side at the weekend, or should we stick with how we've been going? Calum, I'll let you go.
No, I think it's just a case. I feel like last weekend should have just been a dress rehearsal for this weekend. Just go out, get the performance done. I don't really see the need for many changes. I don't think they ended in much wrong.
Kieran.
Ryan. No, but you're at the point in the season where you kind of want to try and get everybody up to match fitness and that, but it is nice to, when you've got big games coming up on the horizon, to get that core group of players playing well together sort of in sync. I understand that's what pre-season's for, but now that you're into the thick of the fixture list now, it's going to be pretty non-stop for now until the end of the season, because it is a big fixture calendar, and I do think I wouldn't change personally, because I like to see, I mean, you've seen some good stuff getting played, and I don't see the point in interrupting that when we seem to be hitting a bit of a groove.
Yeah, we're playing too well to kind of fart about with things at the minute. Right, well, we'll probably get more questions about Hibs and stuff in the Q&A, so we'll get into the Q&A, because I do want to dedicate a bit more time to questions. I feel like they've been rushed the last couple of weeks, so we'll try and batter through, but in a nicer way, without going, that's great, we'll talk about it next week. Aaron Smith asks, if our only business from now until the end of the window was selling O'Reilly, would you, Rodgers, I'm guessing he's meant to say, would you say it's Rodgers' worst transfer window, brackets tough competition?
Right, top of that next week.
Cheers for that.
It's a question to think about, though, isn't it, in the sense that I imagine that we did end the window like that. It would easily be the worst. It wouldn't just be the worst that Rodgers has had, it's the worst that Celtic have had, and because it would essentially be nothing. To think about it, apart from losing O'Reilly, it would be essentially nothing. So I think it answers itself, really, Aaron.
That would be criminal.
Aye. Right, I'll get everybody's opinions. I'll go through one by one. I'm looking at the replies under it. Cal is always here. Always, he says, Mikey Johnson, keep or sell, Calum.
Sell.
Kieran.
Probably so.
It's no probably for me. It's sell. I can't believe he's still here. Can't believe it.
Took a so one last week for his troubles.
I hope he's alright. There's 3 replies under Cal's question. One saying punt, one saying release, and the other saying lifetime contract. 3 very different responses. Decky asks, hopefully we can see Anderson or Donovan get minutes this weekend, seeing how well they done in the US. Love the pods at the minute. Keep it up, boys. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, Decky, and I'm not saying it's a bad point to make, but I think there's more chance of me getting minutes than the pair of them this weekend. I genuinely, I don't want to see them getting minutes.
Nah, I feel like if we never got put at Kelly in the first round last year, we'd maybe be seeing a heavily rotated side, but nah.
Yeah.
Maybe not heavily rotated, but I feel like, as I said, I don't think there's got to be changes.
There's no... I know we want these boys to do well, Calum, but at this stage of the season, there's no point in taking that risk.
Nah, and the nicest possible for players like that, I feel like their game time should be coming. Also, if the chance was to arise from Brown, but seeming like your early rounds, like the Scottish Cup, and about January time, when you want to rotate it a wee bit because of how congested the fixtures are, especially like the Champions League run into January this year as well. So I think that's more when you're getting your likes like your Bucky Thistles and that's when you then sort of give these wee players a bit of time.
Yeah, and ultimately, you've got to think about it rationally in the sense that, once again, it's not berating Decky for his point here by any stretch, because I would love to see players like this get minutes. I think they've got to come at reasonable times. At the end of the day, they are playing in the Lowland League week in, week out, to then suddenly be playing a competitive game against Hibs, where there is an expectation of going through the next round of the Cup. That is a big jump, and you've got to be like winning these games comfortably before you're even thinking about it, in my opinion. But it's a good point. Ross says, if you've had a full-blown stoner since the Idas signing announcement, should medical assistance be sought out, or is this normal? Asking for a friend. Did any of you seek assistance? Adam asks, as always, do you think the kebab pie has swung the decision for Ida and Bernardo?
I think it's got to have, aye.
It's got to play some sort of factor.
It's a fact, but like, there's so many, like, see if you think about it, like, Bernardo's definitely never had a kebab pie, or even thought about it once in his life.
No, never.
We need to get the attention of him, like on Instagram or something. When you're on the bench, just march yourself onto the main stand and try one.
I'd love to see him walking up the steps there.
When you get in the main stand, it's all prawn sandwiches and such there.
True. Run across the pitch, dive into the north stand.
A lot of talk about Ida. We have kind of spoke about that, so thank you, Doogie. Why are fans so mad about the fees? Just because we love to moan. We've touched on that. Adam Ida CSC says, what's your biggest Celtic related unpopular opinion? I feel that's one of the questions that takes thought. Like, you need to actually be like,
There's no thought in my head.
prepared for it. Like, I need time to think. Cause
I wish I'd seen that early on.
Because early years I've had many an unpopular opinion. But they're also, you know, some come and go. Like, I might have an unpopular opinion for like 3 years ago that doesn't matter now because a player's fucking gone. You know what I mean? So maybe think about it for next week. I'll
talk about it next
week. I'll make a note for it to bring it up. Thank you for the question, though. Done that. Question for Kieran, by the way. We're fucked off. Question for Kieran from Bernardo Boy. What's your Indian order?
Well, I mean, in my house we never get an Indian takeaway, but I mean, we've made a fair few visits to Indian restaurants in the past year or so, I'd say, specifically the Daily Darbar in Bishop Briggs, but I'm boring, see, because I don't get an Indian that often. I'll always go for the same thing because I just love it, and it's a South Indian garlic chili chicken with the fried rice, a garlic naan, and if I'm feeling particularly peckish, I'll maybe get chicken chat as a starter, or I'm trying to think, or a wee samosa. Love a samosa.
Calum, I'm asking you anyway, even though I won't ask what's yours.
Very much same as Kieran's. However, they start, I go for a wee bit of fish pakora.
Oh yes, that is like, you had to try it for the first time. Bloody lovely.
So nice.
The last time you were there, you gave me a bit.
Very nice.
Main course.
Same. South Indian.
South Indian.
Aye.
I'm a Chasney man. I get a Chasney. I love a Chasney. Since Ida signed for near enough 9 million, should he start over Kyogo? Says Pierce.
I still don't think the transfer fee should put the pressure of, like, he has to start every game. Like, I do think he will be getting his fair share of appearances this season. I think there'll be a lot more rotation, but I don't think that should be the out and out thing. I'll sign him for that money, so he has to start every game. I do still think he'll go until he loses that spot is going to be the number one striker.
I think form dictates a lot, Calum, as well. I mean, like, if Kyogo goes through a spell of games without scoring, then he just starts, and vice versa.
Oh, 100%. It's easily a case of, and then obviously you then get C starts, if he goes through that spell, you change it back out. Always as a case, you do need that rotation. Obviously, it's nice with the options.
Jamesy says keep O'Reilly. So either end the window with keep O'Reilly and nothing else, so the squad as it is, or sell O'Reilly and sign Engels, McCowan, a left centre back, a left back, and a winger. I'm sorry, I would be waving Matt O'Reilly goodbye.
I think that comes down to the point of doing it for the greater good.
Surely you've got to admit at that point you would happily see O'Reilly.
Gun to your head. It's a case of the squad's standing still, trying to move forward and flesh out a wee bit more with quality. So,
Calum, what about you?
No, very much agree. Even as it said there, another winger. And to avoid seeing James Forrest again, the Celtic shirt. Yes, please. This
is a cracker your question, by the way, and I'm trying to see. I might finish up with that. I'll finish up with that when I come back.
Is it the food one?
It's the make the perfect meal. That's a cracker.
That's the creativity we've been asking for in these food questions.
Exactly. UK Kobayashi, keep own or sell.
Sell.
Another question, same question about O'Reilly. Why are the board fine with keeping Rangers at arm's length when they have every right and every chance now to go and blow them out the water, and doing so and set us further apart financially? Seems that domestic domination is a threshold of success for us with this board. I mean, we've been saying it for a long time. That's Regan. We've said it for a long time. How many Todd Cantwells do you think it would take to beat Cameron Carter-Vickers in a fight? Says Greg and Dyson Enthusiast.
That's a good question.
One. Get on that. I was reading it the other way about. I said one because I was thinking about how many Cameron Carter-Vickers it take Todd Cantwell. I think at least 10.
I think 10's a fair number.
Yeah. Luke asks, what's the odds in Peter Lawwell getting out his phone book and signing Snodgrass and James McArthur? Probably quite high. Calum, would you take Ben Doak back if the opportunity came up?
Oh, I thought that was like the person that was asking it, and then you said it, but it's because of a...
His name's Lewis, who asked, by the way.
Okay, probably, yeah. I mean, we've seen him obviously get minutes down at Liverpool. Obviously, seems to do okay for himself down there. And again, it's an alright winger, so to avoid seeing James Forrest.
You're still sticking by your guns.
Oh, 100%. I'll die on that.
Don't back down.
No.
What about you, Kim? Would you take Doak back?
As an option, aye.
Right. I think the only problem with Doak is I seem to hear that his end product seems to be gash. Apparently that's pretty poor, but aside from that, probably would be fine up here, wouldn't he? I don't think he'll come to Celtic if it means much, but Liam says, excellent Chinese order last week, Kieran. Just wondering what's your opinion on BBC Alaba? Cheers. Thanks. Cheers. Also, hello, Ryan and Calum. Hello.
I'm looking forward to next week's question. I loved your opinion on BBC Alba.
Do you have an opinion on BBC Alaba?
I've not thought about that in a long time, if I'm being honest. I mean,
Do you ever tune into BBC Alaba?
I can't understand what they're saying, but I actually forget it's a channel.
Can you not be bothered learning the tongue of your
the
nation?
mother tongue?
Yeah.
I speak Scots.
If it wasn't for them down south, we would all be speaking Gaelic. It would be our language. Ruined by the south. Anyway, right, so
No bad channel, William.
we've been asked our thoughts on... So average TV fan, before I get into the last question, is asked our thoughts on the tickets for the derby. I've held that back this week because we'll talk about it next week. I've deliberately done that because it's a topic in itself and we've just not got the time to dive into it. So we will cover... We might actually cover it in the derby preview, but it will get covered at some point on the podcast. It was deliberately left out today. And I know Kieran will want to rant about it anyway. The final question, which is just an absolute toe tapper of a question. CM asks, makes the perfect meal out of KFC versus McDonald's versus Burger King. So, just to make it clear, this means you've got to choose fries from one of the places, a main meal from one of the places, a side from one of the places, a dip, and a milkshake. However, I don't like milkshakes.
I don't like milkshakes either.
So...
No daft on them.
Yeah, so we'll just take out the milkshakes, right? We don't need a milkshake. You can choose what fizzy fucking juice you want, right? I am willing to begin because I think I can get through this pretty quickly. I would take my main meal as a Big Mac because, yes, fries I would take as McDonald's fries because I just do think they're the best, personally. I like the ones I like the most. Side, I would take... Now, I'm being a bit of a fat bastard here, right? But I'm going to take the spicy chicken snack wrap for KFC as
the
my
flaming
side.
wrap?
Yeah, the flaming wrap. That's what I know. You're very
I was
passionate
going to
about
say that for me, but I wasn't sure if that constituted as a side.
It's,
But
it
it's
is.
in the
It's
snacks,
in the snacks
portion.
portion of the menu, so I'm going for that as my side. For my dip, I'm going for... I'm stuck between McDonald's barbecue and KFC gravy. But because I've got no chicken, I'm going to go for McDonald's barbecue because what's the point of me taking... I'm not going to dip a Big Mac into fucking gravy, am I? What would I achieve by doing that?
A
Gravy
Big
soaked
Mac
Big Mac.
dipped in gravy, that's what you did.
And for my drink, I'm taking a Pepsi. So there you go. Right, Kieran, I'll let you go. You're eyeing me up here as if you're like, you know.
I'm just so into this question, man.
It's a good question.
Now, for the chips,
I'm very McDonald's, me.
the chips, I feel like I would have to. If it was a few years ago, I'd have definitely said the Burger King chips because I used to adore them. But it's probably McDonald's chips. But here's the question: can I substitute the chips? Because sometimes I can't be bothered with chips, and I like cheese bites and such.
But that
could-
would be a
could-
side.
See, that's the question.
That would be a
'Cause-
side.
No, but then it's also in the fries and sides portion
Ugh,
of rates.
God.
No, I'll just stick with the chips then.
Right,
If we're going to
right,
be
okay.
fucking beige about it. So I'll go for McDonald's chips grudgingly, and then for the main, I used to love a Zinger burger, but I'm pretty sure it gave me food poisoning once. I do love it.
That's
This sounds McDonald's heavy as well, but the McSpicy,
Right.
but with a slice of cheese on it.
Okay, nice.
And then for the side, I'm probably gonna go for the flaming wrap as well if we can get
Nice.
away with it.
Right, okay.
And then is it too supercharger heavy to then take that as the dip?
I wouldn't say so. I think that because you could put your fries in that.
Oh, fucking shout! That's what I'm going to do.
We've got fucking somebody cut the new podcast that's going up with us.
And
So-
then for a juice,
Drop my water. Got my water.
Point the seat there.
I know.
what's the best juice you can get for him? Oh wait, Burger King, have they not got the pure
got
belters
the
in the
machines.
machines? Aye, I'm just going to go nuts and maybe get like grape flavoured, or grape Fanta or something.
I don't even know if any of these places do Pepsi. Like,
KFC
KFC
does.
does. aye.
KFC.
yeah.
Right, Cal, you go.
Right, so what was it again? Run me through them.
So your fries.
Burger King.
Oh, okay. You're the only person then who go
I've
McDonald's.
not had them in years, but last time I had them, they were shit hot.
Your main meal.
Chicken selects.
Right. Okay. Nice. Sides.
Flaming hot wrap. Has
Nice.
to be.
Dip.
again, feels like I'm going a wee bit supercharger heavy with supercharger sauce.
Nice. And then
Worth it.
drink.
Became fond of this, like McDonald's Sprite.
Oh.
Became quite a big fan.
Some different meals.
I can't drink Sprite.
Well, so I think the only consistent answer we had there was
The wrap.
the wrap.
Ah.
We all had that as our side. Wow. Well, rate our meals. Let us know. And thank you very much for your questions. I love questions like that, so keep them coming. They're fucking great. Don't know if it would look out of context to post that on the TikTok. Yeah, I nearly say like McDonald's.
I don't know if that one will hit the algorithm.
No. Right, it's time for the full-time quiz to end. What are we on?
An hour and 5.
Maybe take away 5. I think we're actually doing all right here because I think we're about an hour into recording. It's time for the full-time quiz, which this week will be hosted by Calum in the middle. So it's my first chance to get on the board. As it stands, the league table is 1 played for the both of yous and 1 win for the both of yous. No, 2 played
played
for the
two,
both of
played
yous
one
and
apiece.
1 win for the 2 of you. So
Aye.
I could go into 3 points with 1 game played here if I win.
Game
But
in
that's
hand.
a big ask. What'd you say?
Game in hand.
Oh, game in hand. I thought you said something very rude. I was confused. Right. Calum, take it away.
So he starts off with, obviously, after the 1 or 2 numbers questions in last week's quiz, tonight is simply a general football quiz with no number answers.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kieran, due to the fact of you were the quizmaster during the half-time quiz, I'll let you choose if you like set A or set B.
I'll go set A.
Always
break,
go A.
break the mould, but I know it's going to fuck me over.
Oh, wow.
It's fine. So to start us off here, question 1 for you, Kieran. Which SPFL team play their home games at Forth Bank Stadium?
Shocking how little I know about our leagues. I used to do a Scottish football podcast.
Well, it did, but no well. Fourth Bank. You said it was not just Premiership there that you said went to know.
So it just says which SPFL team.
Ah,
that.
With a whole top
God's
4
sake.
leagues.
Christ. Bonnie Rigrose.
That is Stirling Albion.
Out in the right direction. Unlucky.
Ryan, so to see if you can tell one now lead here. Which Scottish team won the Highland League last season?
It was a. Was it no? Was it Brecon?
Bucky Fist.
Oh, yeah, bastard.
Because it was the whole
That's,
thing.
I thought it was
in
the
about-
one they allowed up. I thought it was
Aye.
Brecon for some reason, you fuckers. I knew it was a B.
Why did I not take B never fails me.
I knew I could remember the whole thing, like they weren't allowed promoted. Anyway, no.
Fine, so now moving into question 2. Kieran, question 2. Last night's Super Cup final was played in which city?
I forgot that was.
So
Who won?
it was indeed Real
Real
Madrid.
Madrid.
2-0.
No surprise.
There we go. Kieran 1-0 on the board. Ryan, which Scandinavian team awaits Kilmarnock in the Conference League playoff should both progress?
Copenhagen.
As indeed, I know Kelly won their game, but last I seen Copenhagen ran extra time. Don't know how they've got on. 1 point apiece. Moving into question 3. Kieran, who was top scorer of the English Premier League after Erling Haaland with 22 goals?
I know it.
What was this?
Last
Last
season.
season?
The season just gone.
I know it.
Cole Palmer.
It was indeed. I was about to say a man with the is that a 9-year contract they
Yep,
gave
9
him.
years.
9 years.
That's ridiculous.
Fucking, that's like NFL contracts.
I
like
know.
stupid years.
I don't know if there's a more Glaikit looking football player than
He's
Cole
a
Palmer.
pure mouth breather.
Ryan, so to take yourself back into 2 each. Aberdeen signed Topi Keskinen from which club for nearly £1 million?
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
Yeah, fine. So Aberdeen signed Topi Keskinen from which club for nearly £1 million?
I seen the post. I knew I can't remember what team it was. I seen the fucking post. I genuinely can't remember. Grasshoppers.
It was HJK Helsinki.
Bastards.
So Kieran keeping a 2-1 lead. Moving into question 4. On the road to Seville, what was the aggregate score between Celtic and Stuttgart?
2-1 Celtic.
It was 5-4.
I was going to say
3-1 at
4-3.
home and 2-3 away.
We were only
Right.
babas.
Take yourself in for 2 each
I
here.
need this.
On the road to Seville, what was the aggregate score between Celtic and Celta Vigo?
3-1 Sellik.
It was 2 each. 1-0 at home and 2-1 away.
I completely forgot they were part of the run. I could remember Blackburn, Liverpool, Stuttgart, Boa Vista. I completely forgot about Celtic, so I would never have got it in a million years. It's a complete guess.
Right, so as we move into the final question, Kieran could take it away with this for a 3-1 lead. Who is the current highest transfer fee of the 2024 summer window?
Oh, that's a good question.
But just in general.
In general,
Yes.
aye. That's a really
Um,
good question.
I'm sort of
Actually.
thinking what big transfers have been
Yeah.
completed, because I don't think there's been any.
Because obviously letting Mbappe was a free.
I've got a name, but I don't know if it's the highest. It's high, but there's surely. I'm just going to say it. Julian Alvarez to Atletico for like 80 million.
And he has taken a 3-1 win.
Ah.
That is indeed Julian Alvarez.
I didn't know that. Is that done now? Aye. Is
Aye,
that
aye.
official? Aye. So you've won. Well done, Kieran.
That's done. Well done, Kieran.
Give me my last question.
So your final question, Ryan, would have been which Scotland youth international moved for 35 million in this transfer window?
Scottish Youth International that moved for 35 million? Where have I been? I've not heard this.
I'm just going to say a fact check it as if it's not already been done, but I would not get this whatsoever.
Have I been under a rock?
Oh no, that would make sense to be fair.
I don't know.
Super flat, man. Come down as a quiz.
Oliver Buck.
Elliot Anderson.
Shit, so he did. He went on the Forest.
I would say from Newcastle to Nottingham.
You don't
Forest.
think him as a Scotland international?
Nah,
See, don't make a whole big thing of this. He doesn't want to play for us. I know. I don't know.
Scotland Youth International, isn't it?
That is indeed. And then, just for the fun of it, your tiebreaker question between, according to the Celtic way, what is the exact capacity of Celtic Park?
Why are Celtic way the source? 60,303.
60,215.
Ryan, you'd have taken it 60,411.
Well, we've went up somehow. I swear to God, it used to be 60,303. Remember it from my annual years ago.
They've been sneaking in the odd seating. People won't notice.
So thank you, Kieran. Well done to other Kieran on your win today, which takes you top of the table. 3 played, 2-1. Calum, you're on 2 played, 1-1, and I'm on 1 played, 0-1. So a lot of catching up for me to do. But that brings us to the end of today's podcast. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week ahead of Celtic's trip to St Mirren. St Mirren, isn't it?
Yes.
Just double checking. And we'll catch up with the transfer window as well, I'm sure. So hopefully it keeps busy. Kieran, thanks very much.
Pleasure as always.
Calum.
Thanks for having us.
And check out the TikTok. We'll have a couple of exclusives over there where we're going to make an arse of ourselves even more. So we'll see you there.